I want to talk about a notice that's going to be put into the Parliament, and I think you'll probably be pretty happy about this because anecdotally there's always a lot of complaints about repairs and other things to vehicles. But Sam Duluk, who's an MP, member for Weight, he's given notice in Parliament to introduce a bill to the Parliament here to protect automotive repairs, insurers and consumers when involved in vehicle accidents. Now, Sam Duluk, member for Weight, what are you protecting them from?
Good morning, Leon. Well, basically, we want some clarity for, as you said in your introduction, for consumers, for repairers and insurers. So right now in South Australia and across the nation, we have a voluntary code of conduct when it comes to fixing up your vehicle if you have a crash and how you go about getting that repaired. And looking to codify that code of conduct into legislation to ensure that we have more transparency around what insurers can demand of a repairer, for example, around the use of second-hand parts, giving consumers more choice about their preferred repairer. Right now, some policies don't allow you to go to a preferred insurer. And the other big one as well is about creating some penalties for failure to comply with the code of conduct and to really have a mechanism to resolve a dispute between an insurer and a repairer, which does happen from time to time when they can't agree on an amount needed to fix the car.
Yes, this has been an ongoing problem for a while. Let's say you are a repairer and you've got a customer that comes in and says, right, I want this vehicle to be as it was before I had the accident or whatever, and I don't want parts that aren't as good as the original. Do you have the right to do that at the moment?
Well, this is part of a very grey area. So right now we want to bring in a legislative code that says, no, we're gonna fix the car. We're gonna make it good, and we're gonna make it roadworthy, as opposed to, for example, an insurer giving a small amount to fix the car, which forces the repairer to maybe look for a second-hand part and put back onto the road a car that wasn't as roadworthy as it came in.
Everybody listening to this will think yes, but isn't this going to increase the cost of the repair?
Look, that is an argument from the crash insurance industry. But
well, look, the more they've got to spend on reparation, the more they're going to charge you. Of course, that's logical.
Possibly, but it's all about having a level playing field as well, and giving consumers choice where they can actually shop around. One of the problems in the industry, there's only really 4 major repairers insurers, I should say, across the nation. Plus, South Australia is a bit more fortunate because we have the RAA as an insurer as well. New South Wales has a legislated code, and obviously we don't see those issues as much in New South Wales. So I'm not so much worried about that. What I'm really keen to see is the ability for small crash repairers, many who are family businesses, not being screwed on price by insurers, and having a mandated code that regulates that, I think is important, and in the long run will benefit the consumer.
Stay on the line because I've got the Motor Trades Association's Daniel Forbes. Daniel, good morning. Would you welcome this?
Yeah, we certainly do, Leon. We were working with the Economic and Finance Committee when Sam was the chair, and then Matt Cowdery became the presiding member when the report was handed down. And there were over 53 written submissions, the majority of which were private, because as Sam indicated, there are a lot of small family businesses who feel exposed on that. So they provided private submissions, and 35 witnesses who spoke up on this issue to say we need a better outcome for consumers and for small business.
So how do you think things might change as a result of these submissions?
I suppose the big part about the where the amendment takes us is it allows the code to have some teeth. So you can go through the code at the moment, but there's no obligation by anyone to make it binding. So having the government step in and look at it at the end and say, did this result, was this fair? If both sides disagree, you do have that sort of police officer.
All right, so let's be clear. Let's say you have an accident and you go and get a repairer to fix it. With this new code, what would happen that doesn't happen at the moment?
So if you wanted someone to repair that and you had a choice of repairer provision in your policy, you can insist on that repairer. And if they're directing you down a different path and trying to take you there, the code will give you the protection to have that repair done by the person you want. and not have it pushed out for years and years, or months and months. When you have a crash, you want your car fixed in a timely fashion, and so these penalties will help to even the playing field. We hope, which will allow things to work much smoother for the consumer.
Is there enough that's gone wrong to warrant this? I mean, give me some examples, because normally when you go to get a repair done, you want it done in a timely manner, obviously. So what's the deficiency that's got to be corrected here by this legislation?
I suppose it does come up with a number of them. So yesterday I just had an example where a 2019 vehicle was going into repair, and one of the insurers has or their assessor has requested a parallel part be used rather than an OEM part, which is highly likely to be in breach of their warranty and other parts. And they're just simply looking for a way to lower the cost. This part is a very expensive one, and the consumer would be completely unaware that these discussions are even going on. So,
well, if they're in breach of a warranty, what's the tariff for doing that?
And I suppose the difficult part is then proving that, and then many consumers wouldn't want to take on an insurer nor a manufacturer. It's because of the sheer cost of going through that process. So
sure.
This process will help to, I suppose, get everyone on the same page. We're certainly hoping, and I suppose allow the commissioner to then look at problems afterwards and say, was this okay?
You're talking about the Consumer Affairs Commissioner here, aren't you?
Yeah. Dini Cilio will be the person who, under the legislation, will be able to look at this and say, so if the insurers, the crash repairer and the consumer aren't satisfied with the outcome, he will be tasked with looking further into this, and penalties if it's not managed appropriately.
Is there enough shonky jobs done to warrant this?
We don't really see evidence of that from what we've got. What we're seeing is a lot of pressure placed on businesses to do things and to do the work, and so that's the real issue. How can they maintain the standard of quality if they're put under such a high level of pressure?
Well, if you're not prepared to pay for the right sort of job, you're going to get a job that's substandard, aren't you?
That's certainly a fear, yeah, and we haven't got evidence of that, but it's a fear that is around.
All right. You see, a lot of people wouldn't have the guts to say it openly because they'll lose business. I can understand this.
And a lot of them have put in those private submissions, as we said,
sure.
because it is difficult to take on multinational companies if you're a small family business.
So the big difference in what you are looking for is going to be what?
I suppose it does come down to the end. So if at the end of the resolution, if it's been an unreasonable outcome, the commissioner to review and then have those penalties. And I think once there's a handful of those that have been reviewed, it will hopefully change the behaviours across the board and will then improve the whole outcome for all three sectors.
Daniel Forbes from the Motor